Yes guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's over my shoulder. She's frustrated because she's seen me walking down here, which she thinks means that there's no ball throwing time. But in reality, I'm only doing the walk down this bit to get out of the wind so that I can improve your experience and, you know, not give you any excuses not to hit the like button for me outside of the poor content, which inevitably will be delivered momentarily. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. We both hope you are all doing happy and healthy things with those that you love to do happy and healthy things with. Hit the notification bell. Done that already. Hit the subscribe button. Done that already. Hit the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on today's transfer news, views and clues. But before we get into that, we have to get into the Manchester City pre-roll thing. I'm just going to quickly run through it because I don't really know what to say. I don't know if I'm out of sorts with the whole kind of Tottenham thing at the moment. I'm finding it very difficult to come up with strong opinions on anything, and I don't know if it's because Tottenham are volatile, inconsistent, and the form could deliver anything, and maybe this time that's amplified by the fact that Manchester City are also an unpredictable outfit. In fact, the whole Premier League seems to be a little bit unpredictable this season, and maybe that is exposing my weak mindset when it comes to strong opinions. Because I don't really have one right now. With Tottenham Manchester City, I think it could go either way. I think that Rodri's absence for Manchester City is telling. It always has been, and dare I say it, are they a one-man team? How ludicrous a suggestion is that, but how valuable has he proven to be? And you know what? Let's not ignore how important Rodri is to Manchester City, a team of world-class superstars who fall apart when they lose their monster six, their defensive linchpin, the playmaker, the quarterback, the guy who tidies things up, the connector-in-chief between the back and the front. Without him, Manchester City's world-class players cannot handle an organised but weaker, on paper, effort, and that much has been proven not just in the last 4 games but many times over the last few seasons. And with Ange Ball not being entirely dissimilar, at least in principle, you know, high press, all about the press, 11-man press, 10-man press, and high possession, high octane, attractive football. The only real difference being that, you know, Ange lets the players do the movement and lets them figure it out on the pitch, whereas Pep focuses more on the ball, being the kind of catalyst for the space creator. But overall, the kind of theory, the philosophy is not too dissimilar, and we don't have a monster six. We don't, and I've been calling for it for 2 years. And you know what? One of the transfer news, views and clues we're going to come to as soon as we've done this Manchester City preview thing, we're going to do the weave where it all comes back together. We're going to try it. We always try to do the weave. One of those massive, glaring, obvious holes for me is the absence of a six. How good could Ange Ball be if you just had your own Rodri? And I'm not saying get a Rodri. I did a video on this. I'm not sure if I can still do this, but look there and you might see the top 10 midfielders that I thought we should have got in the summer that would have provided that six monster mentality. We didn't do it. We've got too many eights, too many midfielders that are probably, if you were to give them an 8/something else role, they would be more inclined to be an 8/10 than an 8/6. And yet, in certain games this season, like for example against Ipswich, second half when Pape Matar Sarr went off injured and they bring on Timo Werner, you've then got I think 6 or 7 essentially forwards on the pitch, and only Rodri Bentancur, I think it was, that was playing in the six, but he's not even a six. You know, it's kind of ludicrous and madness. And if Manchester City can feel the effects so prominently and obviously from his absence, from Rodri's absence, and you can see the difference between a team with him and without him, imagine what Tottenham could do under Ange if we had him. That's the point of today. And for me, that is why I'm going to briefly pivot forward to the next story, which is the transfer news, views and clues, section A, which is KOCKU of Benfica fame, Turkish international, 23 years old, wonderful talent, really like this player. I love Benfica's football. It's so contemporary and it just breathes class to me. It's a really well-oiled machine, and he is a integral part of that early in his career. I love the Turkish mindset when it comes to footballers. When they come to the Premier League, most of the time, what they lack in talent sometimes they make up for in passion and desire, in grit and determination and fight. And I think that he displays the typical symptoms of Turkish footballer playing away from Turkey in a team in a league that has more technical prosperity at its core. And for me, I'm a big fan of KOCKU. I think he's a really good player. However, that said, 2 problems with the story. One is 70 million euro probable asking price, 150 million euro release fee. Forget the release fee, but the asking price, 70 million euros, a lot of money. And the problem is, for me, the biggest one is he is another 8 slash. If you're going to go one way, it's more of a 10 than a 6. He's got that kind of all-rounder vibe about him, a bit of a Conor Gallagher type, but he leans more that way, and we already have too many of them. We have too many of them. One of the issues I have with Ange is that he doesn't seem to, you know, take that much time to consider the nuances of the left foot or left-sided, right-sided debate, or whether a midfielder should be a 6 or an 8, or a specialist, or are they a jack of all trade. He kind of simplifies it and thinks that a defender is a defender, a midfielder is a midfielder, and everybody should be able to do everything, that versatility above specificity. And whilst I don't mind that as a general term, I do have a problem with it in certain positions, and for his system, so specifically reliant on that energetic, you know, fast-paced movement. I just think that the kind of the obvious missing trick here is that 6, and he doesn't seem to recognise it as a problem. He knows his system better than I do, of course. Who am I? I'm just a guy with an opinion and a camera. However, I do think it is an unnecessary slip that we should resolve as soon as possible. And is KOCKU the guy? No, he's not. Against Manchester City, let's wrap it back into Manchester City. Again, I don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. Manchester City are all up and down, four defeats because of his absence. He won't be there. I think that Grealish is out. I think Foden's a doubt. I think Oscar Bob is a doubt. There's quite a lot of players, Ake, Akanji, a lot of players are doubts for tomorrow's game from Manchester City side. Tottenham obviously are facing a raft of either suspensions or injuries as well. We don't know what sort of state Romero's in, as far as I'm aware. We haven't heard about that update yet. So it's going to be interesting. Both teams definitely need a victory. Both teams desperately need some better consistency and some form. And it's going to make for a great game. But which way will it go? I have no idea. Either way could be... wouldn't be a surprise. We could be on the end of a 4-0 drubbing. We could be on the right side of something, maybe not 4-0, but maybe like a 3-1 if it goes well, or we could be anywhere in between. It's going to be a great game. Looking forward to seeing it and looking forward to discussing it with you afterwards. Guys, let's move back into transfer news, views and clues. Actually, before we do that, Rodri Bentancur. I didn't get a chance to talk about this until one of my previous videos where I said he's going to likely face a 12-match ban. Ended up being 7, on the lower side of the minimum 6 to 12 match ratio. But still, like, I've got to be honest, I think the whole thing is an absolute disgrace. I said it at the time. I think, yes, you need to punish racism, but I also think, you guys must know me by now, context and that shade of grey. The truth is neither white nor black. It's always a shade of grey. There's always more things to consider than just the face value of a topic, and that's what we try to dig into here and sort of explore where we feel as a fan base, where you feel we should lie. And for me, Bentancur 7-match ban just doesn't bake in the context of the situation. I read in the reports they said, oh, the reason why Tottenham have got to face the ban is because he wasn't on international duty. He was on his own time. I'm pretty sure he was in, or maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he was in Uruguay because there was a upcoming World Cup or like a preparation match for the South American tournament, which name escapes me right now. But maybe I'm wrong. Either way, if he's on his own time, he shouldn't really be like affecting any club. I don't see what the point is in punishing Tottenham fans for something that a player said in his own time in his own country, away, thousands of miles away from the Premier League. That said, I acknowledge the fact that you have to make a stand. However, I would also argue, as I did before, just playing devil's advocate here. Bugsy, shut up. Find your ball and I'll play it for you. Sorry about that. I would also say there's kind of cultural norms here. Like, who are we in England to sit there and cast aspersions to other parts of the world? We're responsible for so many of the world's wrongs, and yet we sit there and think we're on the moral high ground regarding certain things. I'm not sitting there defending racism, of course I'm not, but I do think it's worth acknowledging that some parts of the world have different stances and different levels of seriousness regarding it, and I think that should be baked into the context. If Mo Salah was put on a video, for example, this is probably going to infuriate some people, but sure, I'll say it. You know what? I'll say it anyway. If Mo Salah was seen in Egypt in a strong Muslim community, and I don't know, there was women walking 20 feet behind him, which is like a cultural norm in some parts of the world. I'm not sure if it's a cultural norm in Egypt, but in certain parts of the Middle East and that kind of area it is. Would the world explode and say that's misogynist and therefore he needs a 10-match game. I don't know. I think that you need to bake in a little bit of context. What's reasonable here? Let's also remember that you can get a 3-match ban for breaking someone's leg or for elbowing someone in the jaw deliberately, and you're back in. I said it at the time, if he gets a 7 to 12 match ban, then you know what? Tottenham will face the consequences far more than he will. If he needs to be punished, if he needs to learn his lesson, how do you do that? You don't punish Tottenham fans, you punish the man. And you do that by giving him a fine that is meaningful and significant and it's going to hurt him. And 100 grand is, what's that, a week's wages for him? Come on. I just think the whole thing's a little bit silly and over the top. And whilst I acknowledge that you have to make a stand, racism is a big deal, I get it. But, I just think that context is always lacking in some of these decisions, and it shouldn't be, but it always is. Let's move forward, guys. Let's move on to the next one, which is Harry Winks. I missed this one. Last week, apparently, Harry Winks was linked back to Tottenham Hotspur. What are we doing here? I saw this on a Leicester fan show. £35 million, apparently. I thought that we absolutely had it off when Leicester paid what they did for him. And I forget what it was, 25 million or something, wasn't it? A very, very impressive number to have got for a player that, let's be honest, most of us wanted and wished out of the club. But the rumours that he was coming back, surely there's nothing there. Surely there is nothing there, especially not at that sort of price point. I can't believe it, but for what it's worth, if you're looking at Harry Winks, the player, does he fit Ange Ball more than Conte Ball? Yes. Is he a good player? On his day, he was, but come on. There's nothing there. Surely we would not do that. He's not even a 6 either. He's just a ball-playing central midfielder, an old-school central midfielder in a typical 4-4-2, and doesn't really fit any particular model. Maybe that's where the link comes from. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's English and homegrown. I don't know. But for me, God forbid, if that happens, I give up. Channel's done. Sean's out. Season ticket's gone. See you later. Actually, you know what? You'll hold me to that, won't you? And it will just be so Spursy for that to happen. So I'm not going to say it. I retract. Let me move the needle towards the next story, which is actually an interesting one. JAYDON Sancho. Bugsy, shut up, mate. Only one person can ruin this video, and it's me. JAYDON Sancho. Chelsea player. Manchester United loanee. 100 grand a week is all he's getting from Chelsea, I believe. I think he's getting a lot more than that. The other half or the other 3/4 of the gig is still being paid by United. Is that right? Am I right about that? Or is he? I forget where he's at. Where is he at? Borussia Dortmund? I don't even know. Anyway, he's at Chelsea currently, but he's on loan. He's on loan at Chelsea, and Chelsea have got an obligation to buy him in the summer once those certain metrics are met. And the story is that would he come to Tottenham? And look, he hasn't done anything at Chelsea. I think he's only played 5 games this season, hasn't scored a goal. But you know what? In the moments that I have seen him, you can still see something there. A guy that's got it, just lacking confidence. A guy that has, he needs a Harry Redknapp type figure to put his arm around the kid and say, come on, lad, me and you against the world. Let's show the world how great you are and how important you will be to our club as we achieve great things together and you resurrect your career and hit the highs that everyone thought you were going to hit only a few years ago. I don't know if Ange is that guy. He's certainly more that guy than a lot of managers out there. I think he's certainly someone who can invoke reaction. We've heard all about Ange's amazing half-time and pre-match stories, his storytelling, which is inspirational beyond belief. And maybe that's the sort of thing that JAYDON Sancho needs. And do we need a player like JAYDON Sancho, or the best version of JAYDON Sancho? 100% we do. How much would the money cost? I mean, are we ever going to do business with Chelsea? I'd say no. I say it's probably a dead rubber story, but I do think it's worth exploring. This won't be the last time that you hear me talk about it. And I would like to know early doors how you guys feel. Jeez, my hair is so thin, isn't it? Wow. I think I have to embrace it and shave it off. I do want to hear what your thoughts are on JAYDON Sancho. Look, he's the sort of player that we kind of are lacking. We're still lacking that kind of take-on specialist, the guy that can get your bums out of seats and terrify. I don't know whether or not Odegaard is going to be that guy. Maybe he is. I think he could be. Maybe Heung Min and Spit on That Yang is also a player that could do that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But the JAYDON Sancho story, I find it interesting. Sonny, last thing I'll say, guys, I think, no, maybe there's one or two more. Sonny, I said yesterday, I was surprised. I wasn't sure if the story was right or not, whether or not there was only 1 year left on his contract, and how is it that Tottenham have let that go so long? It should have been fixed months ago. It's only a 1 year extension, but should he be getting a 2 or 3 year, kind of juicy golden goodbye for everything he's delivered to the club? And I'm fine with either. But I read this morning that Brian King, Tottenham transfer supremo kind of TalkSport guy, he shared the same concerns, saying, what are we doing here? Tottenham have dropped the ball here and maybe left the door open. If it wasn't for Sonny being such a nice, loyal guy, another player might go, what? You're gonna treat me like this? You're not gonna have sorted this out with only 6 months to go on my contract? Bearing in mind what a cash cow he is, I find it a little bit odd. And I think that Tottenham have rested on their laurels, and I think they've taken the piss a little bit. I think that this should have been done a long time ago. And maybe, just maybe, I hope not, really hope not, you really hope not, that Sonny doesn't get a little bit angry, a little bit annoyed, that any of the fallout of whatever's happened with the player Ange kind of bust up that happened last week doesn't kind of accelerate into anything bigger. Or that, a bad season with inconsistent results leads to going nowhere, and he sits there and thinks, you know what, I'm not going to win anything at Tottenham. This is my last contract. Maybe I should go and finish my career somewhere else. And if so, then Tottenham will have lost a very, very important player, a captain, and a giant cash cow, when all of that was unnecessary if we just got off our backsides and did some negotiations earlier. And it's just a strange one as to why we haven't. Anyway, that is about it. Let me think, is there anything else I need to get off my chest in the way of goalkeepers? No. Defenders? No. Yeah, as I said, I just think that Tottenham's search for a 6 is not too dissimilar to Rodri, the importance of Rodri to City. Imagine if Manchester City never signed Rodri and went and played 8s in 6s all day long. I think that Manchester City wouldn't have been half as successful as they have been, and I think that that is a very stark reality as to why, to me, the most important piece of business in the summer wasn't achieved, wasn't done, and why no one ever asked me, because I wasn't around to give you my kind of transfer window roundup. But I would have given it a 6.5 had it been a little bit better in that regard. But because of that absence, I think the window was like a 4, and that's unusually low for me, isn't it? Let's be honest, I'm usually someone who tries to find the reasons to be positive about these windows, but I can't really look at that one with the absence of the 6 and think too much better. So annoyed. And Daniel Levy and the crew of people that are in, how many people have we got there now? 5 or 6 that are doing different things, video stuff and scouting and all this. We've got more people than ever, and we still can't find the solution. Terrible, terrible, terrible preparation. Planning to fail is what happens when you fail to plan. The last thing I was going to say to you guys, I completely forgot. The Tottenham takeover story. Newcastle woman. My brain is cooked. My memory is absolutely fried. I can't remember anything anymore over the last 6 months. But the woman, is it Amanda Staisley? Something like that, £500 million girl, the woman who's got all the money together to try and buy a stake in Tottenham. Well, we were wondering whether or not there was going to be someone else coming in. Is there going to be a battle for any kind of investment? And I think we need to probably look at the Liberty Media Group again and work out whether or not it is plausible for Liberty Media to find and stump up enough money to compete for an investment at the same time as maintaining their investment in the Formula One. The rumours were that the Formula One sale from Liberty Media Group was going to go through this summer, but the CEO of the Formula One division, I believe, or maybe it's just the Liberty Group overall division, said there's no intention to sell the Formula One slice of their strategy. It's a very, very successful end of their investments arm, and it would be foolish to get rid of it because everything's going in the right direction. So if the option for Tottenham to get an investment from Liberty Media was predicated on the idea that Liberty Media were going to sell the Formula One leg, then it looks like, if you take the guys at his word, it looks like that's not going to happen. On that basis, should we put a line through Liberty Media? I'm not sure. We're going to take another look at it. Once I get myself back into it properly, I'm going to get back into the financial stuff, get back into the stats on the screen and all these things, the Y Scout tool. I'll promise you I'm going to bring all that stuff back in. It's just a little bit early for me as I'm trying to figure out what to do with everything else. But I will do a deep dive into Liberty Media, find out if they're still viable. As far as the Newcastle girl, Amanda Staveley or whatever her name is, not sure about this. As you know, guys, I always say this. I'm open-minded to any scenario. I'm open-minded to Daniel Levy staying. I'm open-minded to a full sale. I'm open-minded to a part sale. I just need to know the specifics of what the plan looks like, and then we can chew the fat on it together. In principle, however, I will still maintain my same stance, as unpopular as it is with so many of you, and I understand that. And I hope you can respect the fact that I don't just change my mind because the wind is changing direction. Maybe that's stubborn, maybe that's resolute, I'm not sure. Either way, when it comes to a takeover, financially speaking, from a financial, legal, rule-based perspective, unless you're going to have someone come in and do what Todd Boehly did, which was like create new ways to circumvent the rules, and at the same time also front load 3 years worth of transfer business that can create delays and opportunities to kind of around the inevitable outcomes, and make all of us look silly when we say that the Pied Piper is calling and then he never actually knocks on the door. Unless you go down that path, if it's just going to be, you know, stability and normal stuff, or just an investment coming into the club, I'm not really sure how much changes, because an investment doesn't count as revenue in terms of the rules. And so, as in the case of Newcastle, if Tottenham are already spending every year something like what we were, then so let me say that again. If Tottenham were already spending something like what we can in terms of maximum spend, near enough, then I don't really see how much more we can spend anyway. So what you're really looking for from a new investor is a different maybe level of ambition. But again, what does that word even mean? How does that manifest in reality? I need to know. Let me know how you see that happening. But also, does it also take on a little bit more risk, or does it just have better decision making around scouting, acquisition and talent ID? Let me know, guys. That's it, 22 minutes. I promised you a short one, but it's actually much longer than normal. I'm sorry. Rambling Ranty Butler is back. Let's go. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, bye bye.